700, maybe even 1,000 tradespeople working on this project. So this is a huge opportunity from the career standpoint. We're also going to talk about contracts. So Walsh Inc.'s been hired as the prime design build team, but there are going to be a lot of subcontracting opportunities. We brought on some team members, but there's many opportunities yet to come. So those are kind of the two top lines I want to leave with you. Start with today and leave with you at the end. So project history, we all know we've been dealing with a Band-Aid on the Brent Spence really since 1985. The bridge opened in 1963. In 85, we restriped it from 4 lanes to 3. And so basically the bridge today carries more than double what it was designed for originally. So we realized that starting in the 80s and did that restriping where we took away the shoulder and went from 3 lanes to 4 to squeeze those in. So next slide, please. And of course, as a result of that, it is one of the biggest trucking bottlenecks in the nation. At one point, it was ranked number 2. It's still in the top 15. I just looked recently. And of course, it's a critical connection from Florida to Michigan. And as a result of that, it carries more than $1 billion worth of freight every day, more than 400 per year. So it's a critical connection for the country and obviously for our region too. We've been working actively on the engineering side, on the project development side since the late 90s, really kicked into gear in 2004. We actually had an approved environmental decision in 2012. And if we had the funding in place back then, we really would be driving on the project now. But since 2012, we've been seeking funding and working on developing the project to get it ready for construction. And we're excited that we have a lot of momentum now with the design build team on board. Excellent. So that's kind of the history project overview. I'll go through quickly. One thing I want you to know is we always say the bridge project, but this is much more than a bridge. So we'll kind of walk through that quickly. Go to the next slide, please. It's always start off with our purpose and need. It is a transportation project, so we're addressing those safety issues we have, congestion issues, design challenges on the bridge. While doing all that, we still need to maintain our key connections. 71 and 75 are overlapped here. We have connections to Covington and Cincy and US 50 coming through the corridor as well. It is, like I said, more than a bridge. It's an 8-mile corridor. So we start all the way down in Dixie Highway, come north here, down the cut in the hill, cross the river. We have the downtown interchange, where there's more than 40 bridges in 1 mile on the Ohio side. And then we tie into the city and county Western Hills Viaduct project. So it's a big corridor, more than just the bridge. And all that adds up to the estimate of $3.6 billion. So when you hear that 3.6 number, that's for this entire 8-mile corridor. Next slide. To show you how we're going to deliver this improvement, we are doing it in 3 projects. So these 2 projects to the right of the screen, the red and yellow projects, those are being done in our traditional design bid build way where we get a set of engineering plans, we put it out to the industry, low bid wins. The blue project, which we're really focused on today, is being done in a progressive design build format, which the Brent Spence Bridge is one of the first transportation projects, first highway projects to be done this way in the country. It's been done on some airport, large transit projects, but not many highway projects have used this style yet. So one of the main thing to know about that is we've hired Walsh Inc. as the design build team, and Marvin's going to obviously represent that as he talks through their plan on the workforce side. But they don't have the whole team set yet. So on most other projects, on the day we open the bid, the whole team is set, everybody's subcontracted out, time to go to work. In this case, we've hired the prime team, and they're bringing on subcontractors along the way. Next slide. So I'll go through these really fast, but just to let you know, again, it's more than just the bridge. So in Ohio, we're widening 75, we're rebuilding all the overpasses, all the bridges, and the interchanges. If we keep going, thanks Karen for doing the slides. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm looking the wrong way. We're building a collector distributor system. So I'll show you in a second, but I-75 and 71 are going to be on the new bridge. The existing bridge is structurally good. We're just going to do some rehab to it, and there will be the ramps to Covington and Cincinnati will use the existing bridge, so we call that the collector distributor system. You keep going. And then we do tie into the project to the north, of course, with the Western Hills Viaduct and the work we've done in Hopple. Next slide, if you'll keep going here. We are adding a new northbound exit to Ezra Charles, so that's something that's not there today from 75. And next slide. And of course, maintaining our connections to 71 and 50. In Kentucky, very similar, we're reconstructing and widening 75, so we're adding a lane in each direction, rebuilding overpasses, bridges, and all the interchanges. There will, if you'll go to the next one. There's also a collector distributor downtown Covington from 12th Street North. So the big thing here is, as you're coming to this area, you'll make a decision from the south before 12th Street, am I going to downtown Covington and Cincy, or am I going through? So you'll have a decision point there, and vice versa coming south at Ezra Charles. So that's how the system will work. Obviously, this is a lot to take in, so you can go to our project website. We have a video fly through that really helps you contemplate how this is all gonna work. On the Brent Spence Bridge, we are rehabbing and we're putting it back to 3 lanes. So that's the important thing. We're getting shoulders back on the existing bridge, and it's gonna essentially carry local traffic. It's still gonna be an interstate, it's still part of the interstate, but it's carrying that local traffic. Next slide. And then we're building a new double-deck bridge just to the west of it that will be 5 lanes in each direction, and that's gonna carry 71 and 75 as well. Okay, so there is a big bridge, so I like to at least feature that. It's not just a bridge project, but there is gonna be a really cool bridge that we're building as part of this. Our environmental document allowed that to be, gave us some flexibility. So we have 2 options on the table. We have the arch or the cable stay. Either way, we want it to be iconic and aesthetically pleasing. This is an image of what the base design version of the cable stay could look like. And then the next slide shows it at night. I like to hear that. That was good. I heard it. That's good. There's the arch as well, and then the arch at night. Okay, no Oz there. But yeah, so we'll go with the cable then. So it's important to know we have that flexibility, and we've been waiting to make this decision until we got the contractor on board. So this is one of the many benefits of doing this progressive design build is, we can make some judgments from the design side, but having the builder at the table really helps us understand all the benefits, the pluses and minuses, and more. Next slide. So now I'm going to kick it to Marvin, but I'll hang around to chime in if needed or if there's any questions. But Marvin, if you'll take it from here.
Awesome, thank you, Tommy. So again, good morning, Marvin Jackson again. I'll talk about the subcontractor participation, contracts to date, and then we'll kind of get into some of our workforce, some of our outreach and inclusion to date. And I'll introduce on the back end, we have our outreach, inclusion, and design consultant team with Make It Plain. Here with us today. They're in the back of the room there. This kind of gives you an overview of the schedule, our request for proposals from by state management team. We got contract award of 23. We're in 3 phases of design and construction. Right now we're on the back end of phase 1 in 2024, leading into phase 1B. So proof of concept, some of those design drawings get to about 30%
Yes.
design, and moving us out to phase 2, which will be construction. That's fine. Excuse me. This kind of repeats that. Contract was awarded in 2023. We're kind of anticipate, to Tommy's point, 6 million man hours over the course of this project. Right now, it's taking us to about 2030, 2031, yep. Plus or minus 5 years. Contract resistant. 700, that's on the low end, so that might just be Walsh to cozy, because we're going to do some work ourselves perform, and then we'll have probably in the neighborhood 150 to 200 subcontractors and consultants along the way. That'll push that number probably up to more of 1,000 boots on the ground. And then we have a focus on career and business growth. As far as being in Cincinnati and reaching out and being diverse, not only diversity in the way of like ethnic background or gender, but also in the types of contracts we're releasing. That we're not just sticking to traditional construction projects, right? We're looking for wraparound services for parents that might not have access to daycare but want to come to work, so we're reaching out to daycare centers and providing that opportunity. Down the road, working with Tommy, by state management team and our front office management to know, like, we're working with Metro. Do we need to provide transportation? Do we need to set up some kind of busing system? Do we need to work with like local, just like high school and trade schools, trying to get kids identified now? Because we're talking about almost 8-year-ish projects, so they have time to come in entry level and then graduate as a journey person in one of those trades. Talking phase 1A, like I said, that's about 30%. That's October 23 to November of this year, late Q4 of 24. And then we'll roll into phase 1B of that project. with 67% designs, and I'll carry us to the back end of 25 in October with a 9% goal of DBE or minority firm participation. With that said, we have 22 firms awarded to date in the way of DBE, because we have a DBE goal in phase 1 of 9%. So contracts awarded today about 22. We have about 5 remaining opportunities in the DB space of about $500,000, with a total phase 1 spend about $6 million, or 5.16% of just the phase 1 dollars, not necessarily the whole 3.7 or 2.7. How many change orders are we allowed? All right. So this, I just want to stick this in here. It kind of speaks to some of the awards that have happened to date on some outreach. There's a young lady, she was awarded a cleaning contract to her DBE firm. She had been reaching out, she had been working with different, I took these names off for this, kind of extracting for privacy of those that were helping her, kind of pushing her along, leading the way. Just wanted to share that she was awarded a contract with Cleaning Service on phase 1 portion of the DOT contract. Fitting all her emotion in the one word, and be grateful. She's very grateful for the opportunity. I'm not going to read through it all, you guys can kind of go through it, but she was very grateful of having the opportunity to participate on the project. We've kind of identified 22 of the awarded to date firms. We kind of listed a few of those, few of the DB firms, that is, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, some of their scopes of work and some of the values of those contracts that we're kind of moving through this. Let's see, that's 33 phase 1 DBE opportunities have been identified, and going into phase 1B, so we're moving out of A, which was the 22, 33 exist in phase 1B, and 21 of those 33 will be new opportunities outside of the 22 that have been previously identified. These are some of, oh, go ahead, that's all right. Phase 1B is approximately $164 million with the DBE spend in the neighborhood of $16 to $17 million projected. And this is some of this will be phase 2 goals. As we move out of phase 1 into phase 2, these are additional opportunities that we find in the DB space. This is highly important because these DBs we bring on workforce, and so it'd be part of our workforce development plan, and we're working with them, Make It Plain team, make sure we implement. We identified these two because these are the most relevant. Coming up next is electrical ITS estimating consulting and Longworth Hall renovation. So our headquarters are at Longworth Hall, down by the water there, and we'll be demoing about 250 linear feet in the neighborhood, somewhere in there. It's a historical building, so it'd have to take some firms that are identified as historical renovation firms. But with that comes many other ancillary projects to the renovation of Longworth, the underground utilities, the concrete, the dirt work survey, and so forth. So a lot of opportunities just in those 2 alone, in addition to everything else. They might have added slides, so let me read with you all.
I was messing with Mark here.
This is going into phase 2. So the DB goal hasn't been set in phase 2. Essentially, is the construction of the bridge. So phase 2 goal hasn't been determined yet. We're projecting. Tommy, I'm looking at Tommy for an answer.
We're projecting 7% is the target that we are looking at now, but we're going to reset that when we get a little bit closer. And Marvin has hit it. One thing that's really interesting is we've been doing design, we've been doing activities. We're only 1% into this contract really today.
Yeah, we
so there's a lot
the
to
surface.
Yeah.
Well, we just scratched the surface with that blue. So phase 2 will be 100% design drawings, getting starting work in the field, and that'll take us, like I said, to about the 2030 timeframe. Tommy just hit on it. 1% of the project based on the $2.7 billion has already been kind of spent in phase 1AB as we get ready to close that out. And then 14 DD firms are currently under contract. That's a dated number. It needs to be 22 under contract, totaling roughly $3 million. And this is kind of a look at the schedule for procurement in our phase B, where we publish some of our opportunities on our website. We issue the ITB notice, and then we issue an invitation to bid. I'm sorry, I'm using a lot of acronyms. We have deadlines for questions from firms, and we're doing outreach to like majority firms, DB firms, firms that are minority owned, not DBE certified by either state, including the reciprocity agreement between Kentucky and Indiana. So we reach out to all firms across based on NAICS code. So you have your capacity NAICS code that is attached to your scope of work. We filter for what that scope of work and what my state management team allows us to claim as that NAICS code, and then we reach out according to that. We also kind of work with, like, we have ex-members of City of Cincinnati that have access to some of their ex-counterparts that can assist us. Like, does the City of Cincinnati, does Hamilton County, do you guys have any firms that aren't DB certified but might be capable of this scope of work. So we're trying to get everywhere and dig everywhere so we can find firms kind of diversify our work opportunity and our contracting opportunities, right? All that. We have evaluate proposals, submit the recommendation, clarify negotiate proposal, and then we issue contracts. We're looking at about a ITB issue about 15, 20 days plus 40 days in the review process to get those contracts executed. I think that's a repeat slide, that might have been my fault. So we're talking a little about the DEIO, Diversity, Inclusion, and Outreach, and part of that team has been extended. If I lead the program in that, we have multiple people in project management like Gary Obert that work for the Washington Coast and JB, Ua Brewer who works in the compliance, kind of EEO delivery and all that, contract compliance, reporting of man hours, making sure everyone's compliant. To assist us in that is the Make It Plain team with Tommy Lewis, Penny, but they're all in the back of the room, and Valeria right there, she was sitting so close, I thought she was part of the board. Valeria right there, they're part of the Make It Plain team. And this is our clear objective, diversity, inclusion, outreach, or the DIOP, is to serve a concise 8-part integrated and dynamic blueprint on how the Brent Spence Bridge project will stimulate local engagement, contract participation, and economic growth throughout the tri-state region. And we use these icons to kind of include everybody that'll help deliver this. This been, you all are clearly put here. You might not know it, but that's the community at large. We're thrown in there. And then our DIO team, of course, ODOT, State of Kentucky, and then the Washington Coasting team. Next slide. This is an 8-part plan. We won't go through each of those. We'll just kind of hit, this is the 8-part plan. We're looking at the DB performance, the goal attainment, DB outreach, DB development, because we're not just trying to bring you on, we're trying to bring them on and make them sustainable in the back end, because one day Brent Spence goes away. We don't want those DBEs to go away. We want them to be able to actively grow capacity and grow out the program, right? Which is an impressive, considering growing out the program means your company has a net worth north of $33 million. Compliance plan, OJT, as far as I was talking about Ua Brewer compliance, just to a contract and federal government. OJT plan, that's important here because that's the workforce. The OJT on the job training number hasn't been set, but we're talking about an OJT on that. So with 6 million man hours identified on the first part, you want to talk a little bit about the number there?
Yeah, that's right. So we took a preliminary analysis and set a target of about 15% for on-the-job training, which is a big number. So we're going to be revisiting that when we get closer to construction. But either way, it's going to be, we expect a lot of new folks hopefully to get excited and get into the industry through this project, and we want to make the project a good spot for that. Certainly we're going to need expert labor as well, lots of it.
Correct.
But there's also going to be opportunities for somebody to start this project as an apprentice, and that's what counts towards the OJT goal. Start as an apprentice, finish the project, hopefully as a journeyman, and now have Brent Spence on the resume. So this is just a huge opportunity from the workforce side.
And that's across the board. That's operators, iron workers, labor, carpentry, like all the across the board on all the trades. Then we have our workforce development, which is kind of the LJT kind of included in there. We broke it out because it's a separate entity that by state management team handles that participation number. And then we have overall community engagement. This kind of speaks to some of the business development outreach we've already done, working with like Hamilton County. We've done things with the USDOT locally as far as having training classes. We've gone to Washington, D.C. They had a new DBE ruling that came out. I believe the one that was in April. A lot of big changes kind of benefit the DBE. So we're down there participating in that. We're working with African American Chamber, going to some of their open houses, working with I think this Hamilton County was represented at this particular event. And even over in the Avondale Center had a new event, a new outreach center and event, working with Urban League over there. So we went to that. This speaks to some of our outreach with respect to workforce. With the ACI, we did ACI, there's some sponsorship bags, but a lot of great kids coming, a lot of great high school trade programs. Working with CCA, Cincinnati Construction Academy, Mr. Isaiah Gamboa, who, strangely enough, when I walked in and met him, I realized I did a big project in Los Angeles, the Crenshaw line that led from my LAX airport out to the Crenshaw area, and he was a big advocate at LA Tech School when I did that California project, like 2012, and I walked in and saw him here in Cincinnati. I just thought he was following me around, so we have those words like, you really serious about this workforce, you're just attacking me. We have Milwaukee, does a lot of tools and training, come out, talk about safety, and that's for the students, for the trades, and for management team. And this is Princeton High School. We did we met with one of the directors of the trade program, just in some of our workforce outreach early. And again, phase 2 construction didn't really start till late 2025, but we're getting ahead of it early, getting in schools, getting everyone's ears, just getting the information out there. So this is our diversity inclusion plan. This kind of shows our schedule for the balance of 24, getting into 25. We did some early stuff, so kind of this July, August is behind us. We're kind of looking forward with some task force development. We're developing task force, so they'll put that out there. In the workforce task force, that's kind of just make sure we're on the right track, make sure we're doing all we can in the workforce space. Community engagement and information space, there's another task force, and then the business development task force, kind of all serving the same purpose, making sure we're attacking this the right way, make sure we're including everybody, make sure we're doing it in an effective and sustainable way, not just kind of a performative manner to say, oh, we did it, we check a box, moving on. No, we want something that will sustain and carry forward after the Brent Spence is gone. And a lot of programming that we're putting in place can be found on the Walsh Colton JV site. And we're just doing nothing here. What's the, oh, okay. This should have been a motion, animation, but anyway. So today we're going to answer your questions, ask for feedback from the day's meeting, publish our outreach calendar for the rest of 24, getting into 23, and then set up our task force chairs and schedule our meetings. And we kind of finished item 5 already. So that's kind of what we're kind of the balance of today after this meeting. If we have any input questions we can answer, and kind of anything you all think we can add to our outreach calendar to 2024. And kind of to Tommy's point, oh, go ahead. That's the Brent Spence Bridge Corridor Project. First of all, we just want you to read it without stumbling. The Brent Spence Bridge Corridor Project.com and the WashingtonCoasting.com website. Both of those carry large amounts of information for participation and just general information on the project.
Well said, Marvin. Thank you all very much for the chance to give you a